Welcome to the 13 comics of Halloween.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the special spectacular of Halloween. We're doing the 13 comics of Halloween. Or whatever you're supposed to do. So
We're no Vincent Price.
yeah, we definitely don't have a cool voice like Vincent Price. But so the first one we're going to do in this 13 episodes we're going to do this month, we're going crazy. We're doing a bunch of little one-shot.
13 little mini episodes.
Yeah. And not all of them are one-shots. Some of them are number one issues and stuff of series. But we just figure we dip our toe into them, see what they're all about on top of some of the one-shots. And so this first episode is the if you like collecting old 50s Tales from the Crypt and stuff, this is actually this is the first comic that's in the first volume of the Tales from the Crypt collections. So it's not actually called Tales from the Crypt. It's called The Crypt of Terror, and it's number 17. I don't know what happened to 1 through 16 or whatever, but apparently maybe it was a different comic, and then they changed it to this.
And this was in line with
and this was like the first horror stuff, and then they changed the name of it to Tales from the Crypt. So technically the first comics that were Tales from the Crypt were called The Crypt of Terror. And like we said, this is number 17. And the cover is very spooky. There's a woman walking in the night, and there's a werewolf like following her, stalking her through the night. And there's a newspaper that says, "Werewolf strikes again." So it's very, very spooky.
Suspense stories we dare you to read, and we'll dive in.
Yeah, and so this is an anthology series. So there's like four or five comics for each issue. And this first issue, just the same as that. So the first story of this is ridiculous, John.
Yes.
It is
Death Must Come.
Yeah, it's called Death Must Come, and it is about two buddies who are like one of them at the beginning of this comic is old, and he's like, "Hey," like his young friend shows up, and he's like, "Hey, you're perfect in time. I need your help right now." And then the old man's like, "But it's only been 5 years since the last time." And we as the audience are like, 5 years since what? And then we find out that these guys are actually as old as that old man, and back in the day when they were youngsters, they came up with a way to stay young forever. And basically it was by cutting out a gland. They don't say what gland, but I'm going to say like the pituitary gland or something of extremely recently deceased person.
Yeah, of a young person, obviously.
Of a young person, yeah. And as long as you re-implant this new one, take out your old pituitary gland, put in the new gland from the young person, you will stay young. This is the theory they have, and they try it out on the guy who's young now still. And of course, as we saw earlier, he stays young forever. But the problem is, it wears out. Like the more you do it, the faster it wears out. Basically, it's like trying to fight age times 10 every time you put it in.
Yeah, the first time apparently was like 20 years before he needed it, but then he started to be like, I've got like wrinkles starting on my fingers.
He says like, my waxes.
Yeah.
My waxes are... I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? But apparently they thought wax happened when you have wrinkles or something. I don't know. Yeah. And so this is from the 50s, by the way. So like this is pre-comics code. This is like what... caused comics to get a code, having scary stuff in comics or whatever. So this dude had his friend, like after 20 years after the first operation, he comes and he sees his old man friend. He's like in his 50s now or whatever, 40s, 50s. And he like does the operation again. They get a body, and they're getting them legit. They're not killing anybody. Yeah. I thought they were just going to kill people after a while.
No, they're just like, they look at the obituaries, they're like, oh, this kid's getting buried tomorrow. We'll just go take his thing then.
Yeah. And so, but they don't do that. They just do what you said and take it out. Like they don't kill anybody. They just take it out of someone who recently died, and they keep doing it. And basically, like he calls them eventually, and the old man's like, I can't even, like I have the arthritis, and like I can't move my fingers, and
I don't care. I need you to come do this.
Like help me. And he actually like slaps the old man. He's like, you old fucking fool, do what I tell you. And he's like, you hit me. And it was like old man abuse. It was like sad.
Yeah, what it was. Well, I mean, he gives him a heart attack. He's like,
yes. When he hits him, he's like, you struck me, Frederick. And then like it's like his best friend over, like I guess it's his best friend who only sees whenever he needs an operation, though, right?
What a great best friend.
Yeah. So basically, he's like, and this is where finally he goes to killing. He's like, I need to get a pituitary gland or whatever. And so he calls like a messenger, like I guess it's like a
Telegram.
telegram guy. And he's like, hey, I got a telegram for you to pick up. And he's like, all right. And he's like, hey, telegram boy here. And he ethers him. He like knocks him out. And then he's like gonna do surgery on himself. And before he can do the surgery on himself, it ends up like
he cuts open the kid and he's like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Like, we're not sure what happened.
Yeah, and then like he starts to age too rapidly because the gland is too old inside of him, and then he just like dies of old age. But like kind of like in like Indiana Jones 3.
Oh yeah,
he chooses poorly and he like grows his head, like he gets all like totally dried out and everything.
Yeah. And the little twist, the reason he said no is because when he opened up the kid had surgery and had that removed for whatever reason he had it removed.
Yeah, so
he didn't have it in.
It was like oh, my appendix was about to burst and it came out.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, or like my pituitary had a growth and they took it out when I was younger, so you can't have it. So then we get the second story arc here, or the second story, which is called "The Man Who Was Death," and I
really like this one.
This one was actually cool. This is about, and it's actually based on, or they based a episode of the TV show from HBO on it. I believe it's like I keep saying episode 2, I think is what it is. And it's about a guy who's like an executioner out of prison.
He takes his job really seriously.
Real seriously. He's like nowadays, murderer or like what's executioner. Like he's down with it, and like he's like interested in all different types. Like he starts going around to other prisons, being like, "Can I also be your executioner?"
Yeah. Lethal injection. That sounds fun. Like he does the chair.
I want to do the gas chamber. Yeah, normally he does the chair, the electric chair, but now he wants to do the gas chamber, and then he wants to do like the hanging, with a noose and stuff. And then like I think doesn't he get like fired or whatever. He's like,
no, he doesn't get fired. It's that he's been doing these executions every day, and he comes into work one day and they're like, no executions today. Everybody I guess is doing good. And so like all these people start getting pardoned or not pardoned, but they basically like not guilty. And he's like,
oh yeah, that's
I don't understand. These people have to be guilty. I know it. I know better than the justice
system.
So
he's going to courtrooms and seeing all these like not guilty verdicts. He's like, those fuckers, they are guilty and I'm going to kill them. So he starts going at his way to like find ways to kill people after they're out of trial and found not guilty.
Yeah.
So he goes around and he like electrifies a fence of this guy who walks around the fence who was found not guilty. He tracks that guy's movements. He's like, hey, he always like walks by this fence every day. I'm going to electrify that fence and then it's going to like shock him to death. So he does that. He like, he basically all of them are like electrifying stuff. Like this one guy gets in the shower and like turns it on and then like when the water hits him, he gets electrified.
That one was horrible too. Cause like right before he's in the shower, he's like, oh man, I'm so glad that trial's over. Cause I definitely didn't kill that guy. I hope they find the real killer.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
He's definitely innocent.
Yeah. Like this dude does not give a fuck. And so like eventually he goes and he like starts cutting electrical lines and stuff to kill people. And everybody's like, this is so weird. Like people just keep dying after they get, found innocent. But like one cop has an idea. He's like, okay, well the next person found innocent, we'll follow them. And then when anybody tries to like hurt them, we'll like catch them. So that's what they do. Some lady was found innocent and they like follow her. And then some guy comes out and goes like, ah, and then they're like, stop you. And they catch him and they knock him out with like the butt of their gun or whatever. Yeah. And they find it's the executioner. And then the twist is now he's going to get executed for murder. Yeah. So now he's like, ooh, not me. And he's just as like wimpy and scared as everybody else was. So that was a fun one.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then
the next one was weird. It wasn't scary or really creepy at all.
Yeah, it's called The Corpse Nobody Knew. And so like this couple check into a hotel and then like they open up like the chest of drawers or whatever to put their clothes away and a corpse falls out. They're like, oh my God. And then they like run downstairs. And what'd you say happens?
Yeah, so he's a detective on like he's going on vacation with his wife because they've been busy. And they go downstairs. He's like, there's a dead body in my room. And there's a guy there. He's like, oh, excuse me, sir. I'm the hotel inspector detective. We definitely should go investigate.
I'm the hotel detective.
Yeah, I was like, what? And he's like, well, we'll call the police too. And they call the police up there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, well this seems pretty clear cut. The place was robbed. There's no money in the safe, and this obviously was probably the guy who was robbing it. But they didn't get away. They just stashed him away because the guy who owns the hotel he had to leave real quick.
Yeah, and then they say like, he had to leave, and I think he's on a plane or something.
Yeah,
and then they like find a torn up plane ticket or whatever in the trash. So it turns out,
Well, no, that was the crazy. The one part of this that made it very much a product of its time is like the most like gumshoey character in this is the wife of the detective because she like stays with the body and she's like investigating the room and she finds the ripped up like it's
I
not a
guess it's
plane ticket, it's a receipt for a pic for photos.
oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, and so she's like, I bet this is important. She goes and develops the photos and she like brings them back and she's
Apparently
like,
they had like 1 hour photo development in this world in the 50s. I don't know.
I guess. But like, yeah, so like the police come and they're all talking and he's like, and the detective's like, this is a closed case. And she's like, hey boys, I have this information here. And they like right away are like, quit flapping your gums, sweetheart. Like, what? Spit
Why
out
don't
what
you
you
go get
got.
us some coffee, yeah?
Yeah, and she's like, well, no, here, look at these photos. And he's like, look what I found in these photos.
It's like a photo of the guy, the hotel detective, like making reservations or whatever. So who the fuck took the photos? I don't know. Someone took the photos.
Was the owner. It had to have been.
Oh, yeah, I guess it had to be the owner of the hotel.
Yeah, and then that's the thing is that the person in the corpse is the hotel owner because
Right.
they also find
But why would he have... My problem was like, so did he kill him after he took photos of him
I guess so.
making reservations for like why? I don't know. The timeline doesn't make any sense. In this.
I guess he figured out that he was trying to rob the place and he was going to leave or something.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, I didn't follow the whole like
that one was
plot of
weird
that
and
one.
it wasn't creepy
scary,
or
at
scary
all.
at all.
So, and then we get like this one I thought was cool. There's a twist to this one. It's called "The Curse of the Full Moon," which is obviously the inspiration for the cover. It is a werewolf story, and there's these two guys, and one of them always he like wakes up and he had like horrible dreams about murdering people, and then when like they're like traveling all around Europe. I don't know who these two guys are. They're really good friends.
They're good friends. One of them, I guess, is also a psychiatrist, and he's like, we got to talk about our trip, buddy."
I would say these dudes are like lovers though, because like I don't know. It seems weird that like two guys we're just going around Europe together. What's weird about that?
Their buddies going
Sharing
around Europe,
beds,
whatever.
You know?
It was weird, but like the main plot is like I guess one night like months ago out in Europe they were like in a town and they decided to go out on a trek and like while they were out trekking they like one guy like scratched himself on a plant. He's like, oh no.
Oh yeah, that's like instead of getting bitten by a werewolf in this, it's like transferred by
Wolfsbane,
the plant. And so like if you get scratched by the thorns on wolfbane, which I didn't even know is a thing. And then like some old guy at this party is like, did you know that if you get scratched by the wolfsbane, it will turn you into a werewolf? And then like the guy's like, oh, I got scratched by a plant. So, like, you know, so he thinks he's a werewolf.
And like and he keeps thinking that because every time like he wakes up the next day like a dog was murdered, then a woman goes missing, and like he keeps finding like he finds like dog hair on his clothing and then like a bloody shoe, and so he like keeps freaking out. So he goes to his friend and starts telling him all these little tidbits of stories of like, oh my God, I think I've been killing all these people. I'm a werewolf.
Yeah, like he keeps finding all this shit in his rooms, and like it happens everywhere they go. They go to like, oh, we're going to Paris. Oh, we're going to England. Oh, we're going to all these places.
Remember that trip? I killed someone everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. And then eventually it leads to finally like, you know, on the news or like on the radio, he hears like, oh, there's been another, you know, missing person, and we're assuming it's this like Ripper that's killing everybody. And then the guy who thinks he's a werewolf goes like, George, like, I'm terrified. The full moon, like, I think I'm a werewolf and all this stuff. He's like, why would you think that? And he's like, because what's the other explanation? He's like, the only thing it could be is that I'm insane. And he's like, you're not insane. And then
You're not the werewolf.
And you're not the werewolf. He's like, what do you mean? And he's like, I'm the werewolf. And he like turns, and then it's like, it's weird. I don't know if he's insane though, or if he's actually the werewolf, but I think the guy then he never turns into a werewolf, so I assume he thinks he's a werewolf and he's insane. The like psychiatrist friend.
Yeah.
So like he turns and he's like, "But George, it could be someone else, someone who shared a room with you, who could be at all the same places you were,
put all the evidence and
yeah." And then like then he's like, "Yes, Ralph, I am the werewolf. I killed those people. I did it." And then he's like, "And now I'm gonna kill you." And that's how it ends.
Yeah.
But, like I didn't see it coming at all. Like just because
that was
the
fun.
friend was just so like nonchalant the whole time. Like he's just like yeah, we're just hanging out in Europe or whatever. And then like I was trying to figure out like when is this guy gonna he's gonna be a werewolf or there's gonna be a werewolf that's like stalking
That's
him
following
or
him.
something. Yeah, but it was his friend. So that was interesting. So that's the first issue of Tales from the Crypt Volume 1, which is Crypt of Terror number 17. So overall, what would you give this one, John? Obviously, we're grading it on kind of a curve because this is from the 50s.
It's from the 50s, but it was fun. I would say I enjoyed over half of them,
Yes.
for sure. So I would probably give this one a 7.
7?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this one a 6. It was perfectly readable. It was fun to see some of the old style, stuff, and there was a couple like fun twists,
Yeah.
So overall, I would recommend this. I'm a big fan of these old horror stories, so if you guys feel inclined, check it out on Comixology. Tales from the Crypt Volume 1 by Dark Horse, I think, puts it out, and all the volumes for that matter. So on that note, we'll see you guys later for our next
episode
Halloween special. What is it?
The 13 comics of Halloween.
Yeah, I will get it right eventually. I don't know. We came up with this like right before we started. So 13 comics of Halloween, and for doing number 2 next time. All right. See you guys.
Next one.
Bye.